thank you for the opportunity to present this paper, and thank you for the opportunity to consider this work. So one of the things, if you've listened very carefully, and I know that you have, I've modified the subtitle by just a little bit, and I'll point out that modification here because it's relevant to the whole discussion. I've added the word linked to make this not just another polemic, but a linked polemic from Artemis to Apollo. So that will be really the heart of the discussion that we talk about today. So I'll first of all introduce this topic, and then we'll go from there. So the context of this work is Olivia Stewart Lester's work. It's her good work on prophetic rivalry, and then I'll look at the two key elements that will support this thesis that I have about this linkage. And the two key elements are literary analysis, linking Artemis to Apollo at Didyma, and also geographic, historic, and material evidence that also links Artemis to Apollo again at Didyma. So the paper that's presented today builds off of the good and the recommended work of Olivia Stewart Lester on prophetic rivalry. In her work, she looks at Revelation 9, she looks at the Sibylline oracles, and she looks at the prophetic role of Apollo as represented at both Delphi and Didyma. The bigger context that she's working on is similar to what Rebecca just mentioned, that is a polemic ultimately against Nero and against Rome. And as she looks at this twofold polemic against Apollo, she uses Revelation 9 and Sibylline Oracles Book 4 and Book 5. Today's paper will zero in specifically on Book 5 and specifically a particular passage that targets Apollo. And the targeting of Apollo here is at his prophetic site at Didyma in Southwest Asia Minor, just south of Miletus. That passage begins with an attack on Artemis and her renowned and great temple at Ephesus. And so the basis for the thesis of this paper is that starting the attack with Artemis was neither random nor coincidental, but rather was intentional. The thesis itself is that the Sibyl began the attack against Artemis intentionally moving to an attack on Apollo. It is an attack that is linking from Artemis to Apollo. One of the things that I've done in this research is I have created a map picking out the places, the geographic locations in this passage that the Sibyl targets, and they are in the southwest corner of Asia Minor. They all surround roughly the 7 churches of Asia Minor out of Revelation. It might look like it's just a random collection. The argument here is that it's not random, that it's intentional. So to support this thesis, I will look at 2 sets of analysis. The first will be a literary analysis of the text. I'll look at the inclusio, an Apollo-targeted inclusio, and then I'll examine the interlocking word plays that draw a direct line of attack, starting with Artemis and leading to Apollo. The second analysis will be the historic, geographic, and material data demonstrating this link as well. So we begin by observing the Apollo-oriented inclusio of this passage. First, there's some context that's needed, and then a brief quantitative analysis of the text. So the context is, in the discussions on Revelation 9, relative to the polemic against Apollo, both Alan Kirkeslager and Olivia Stewart Lester have noted the use of apollomy in Revelation 9:11, concluding that the author